Anyway, hopefully onto better things. The
It is
Host.
onto better things. This is the one I was more excited about this week. It's called Host, not to be confused with The Host, which is the Bong Joon-ho film, or another film apparently called The Host, which I don't know anything about, but apparently it's one of those young adult adaptation films that was awful. But yeah, and it's directed by a guy called Rob Savage, and I believe it's his feature debut, and it was exclusive to Shudder streaming service, which I'd never used before.
Shudder.
Yeah, it's essentially Netflix, but purely for horror, and it's like I managed to get a free trial of it through Amazon,
Okay.
and it's actually pretty good if you're into horror films. It's got loads of stuff on there, and it has loads of like self-made documentaries as well. There's a really good one called Horror Noir, which is all about the role of African Americans in horror and how they're always like the first to die, or they're always the bad guy. And I really enjoyed that. And we're not sponsored. This is just me generally singing their praises.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sponsorship spaces are available,
Oh
by
yeah,
the way,
if
guys.
they are hearing this, if one of our two listeners wants to nudge them a bit. But yeah, and it's essentially a film shot through Zoom, so it's purely on a laptop screen.
Okay.
And it was shot during lockdown, which it comes up in the film. So there's shots of them walking around with masks on, talking about being locked up, not being able to go out. So it's still fairly relevant and done fairly cheaply, from what I understand. It's only 57 minutes long,
Okay.
which at first I was on like, oh, okay, what's this going to be like? But essentially,
I don't know. I feel like sometimes, there are so many films that could do with a good edit that actually, like, short stories can be so much more effective at giving a message. I'm kind of excited about the idea of a 57-minute full-length feature.
This is what I mean. I was skeptical at first, but I'll get on to why it actually turned it out to be a positive. But essentially, these 6 friends all set up a Zoom call during lockdown and decide to try and do a seance via Zoom, as one of them has been getting into that sort of spiritualness stuff lately. And then they begin to perform said seance, and shit goes wrong, as you would imagine in a horror film. Positive wise, I really like the characters. They're all, as with most like found footage or these type of films, they're all unknown actors, and they're all really believable as people. Like there's loads of little microaggressions, so you can tell, okay, this person's got a bit of beef with this person, but they don't say what it is. And I could believe that they were friends, or that they had a history.
Yeah, sometimes that's quite nice, actually, if you don't need things to be over-explained to you.
Oh, 100%.
Which is something that I love to do.
But yeah, they do it really well, actually. Like, you knew within about the first 5 minutes, like, who was okay with who and who's closer to who. And it worked. It helped out later on in the film. Yeah, with the length, at first I was like skeptical, but then by the time it finished, I was like, you know what, that's perfect. Like, didn't need to be any longer. And what was the film that did this before? Is it Unfriended was the one? Or
yeah, maybe. Is that another kind of?
It was one of the first ones to do it via Skype.
Yeah.
Which is all on screens. I believe it's Unfriended. If I'm getting it wrong, I will correct myself later. But that was not all, like, it was a good premise because it hadn't really been done before. But that was pushing an hour and a half, and that was lots of moments of unnecessary filler. And I think because this gave itself a shorter time, it worked a lot better, because there wasn't any moment where it was like no massive exposition or anything. It was just getting to the point. Okay, scare here, scare there. And it worked really well.
Yeah.
And all the scares have sort of been done before, but to be honest, it was helped by the convincing acting and the people in it. And even though a lot of the stuff you've seen in films like Unfriended are kind of similar, I enjoyed it. I thought they were quite good. Yeah, it was limited in scope as far as they can't really do much more with the concept, although I think it is well done. And I feel like they could have done even more with the whole backdrop of being in lockdown and stuff. As it's sort of hinted at the start and mentioned, and then doesn't really apply to the rest of the story. Which I think like they could have done to make it a bit more relevant. But no, I enjoyed it. Glad to see Shudder getting some attention, because it's been talked about quite a bit as far as I'm aware. and it seems like a really good service. So if it gets more people on
You
it,
sure we're not sponsored?
I'm really trying, aren't I? Yeah, enjoyed it. Thought the relationships were great. Good short run time. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Well, that's
Mm.
a marked improvement.
Oh yeah, we're getting there slowly.
Yeah.